Hey there, everybody. Welcome. Lotus Art of Sacred Embodiment. We're going to talk a little bit about Ascension today, maybe a little bit in relational intimacy as well. We'll see how it goes. The topic is on receptivity. So I have talked about receptivity before. Receptivity is a feminine quality. And this is the time where that feminine quality is really beginning to be needed. So what do I mean by that? So as we're working with the larger scopes of divine union, and there's many facets of divine union, but when we're talking about that deeper unification process, we're talking about that integration of all polarities. And one of the best ways in which we can start to practice that, right, is within our own places of division. So wherever we find those points inside of us that pull us out from our center, where we have judgments, where we have resistance, right? Especially resistance. Like, think about resistance and receptivity, right? But judgment is resistance. Any time that we're fighting what is a level of resistance. So when you think about resistance, right, we kind of all know it's like, boy, I don't want that. I don't want to go there. I don't want to be like that. I don't like that person. I don't want to have that happen to me, right? We're focused so much in our programming, right? And this is just programming that we've been very deeply conditioned into based on being in the realm of polarity. Right? You've got those polar opposites, and what do? They attract and they repel. So energetically, we're kind of predisposed to this. But that's on the lower level ways of operating. What we're doing is we're up-leveling our ways of operating through our awakening and our ascension journey, through raising our frequencies. We're letting go and we're leaving behind those constant repelling parts of ourselves and of our life. Receptivity, it's kind of like acceptance. Acceptance is that way where if I can just accept whatever is right now, whatever is, right, in this moment, without choosing for or against it, without liking or disliking it, without needing anything to be different. Just in this moment, if we can let go and accept this is what is in this moment, and let it be, right? Just let it be. And in that quiet space of simply receiving whatever is showing up, receiving yourself as you are, receiving your life just as it is, receiving your relationship just as it is, allows everything to soften. So that specific quality of the feminine allows the rigidity of our preferences and our rejections to sort of soften. We get a little space around it, all right? A little bit more space we feel this deeper in that moment. We can start to feel this deeper harmonization, and we get greater clarity. So I have a little story about this. So in probably 1990, I guess 1998, I became a part of a community that was a conscious community, and we worked with very specific practices in a course that was called Nakaima at that time, and this was in Eugene, Oregon. And the purpose of this course was to, the bullet points basically were all about identifying your attachments, identifying your stories, right, that did not serve you, identifying where you had things lodged and stuck in your body, and learning how to come into a place of wholeness and not be overrun by all of these programs. So it was much more, complicated than that. But as you all know, right, our healing journey is not, it's not a simple thing. It's a complex thing. And every part of it feels very complex often. So one of the first things that we did in this course, right? So the course was a weekend, and then those of us who went through and wanted to come back and assist, new students coming in it was once a month, could come and assist and kind of go through the processes and support others. So I was in this for probably a year and a half after I went through the course. So my very first day, the very first exercise that we did was each person individually got up on what we called platform work. Got up on the platform in front of everybody, and we got to get this sense, right, because everybody has their own stuff. Everybody got to get their sense of what came up, what comes up for you, right, when you're like really being seen, when you're being questioned, right? So then the teachers would sort of offer up questions. What are you noticing right now in your body? What are you sensing? Do you have any fears? Do you have any, like, what are you resisting? So on and so forth. So for me, I was terrified of being up in front of people. I was in AA. This is, of course, prior to this, or, starting years before this. My first 5 years in AA, I literally could count how many times I talked out loud, like 5 times. I was a chronic passer, and I only talked up at the podium maybe 3 times, and every time I had to get up at the podium, I would literally like black out. I had no idea what I was saying. I would, my heart would be beating so loud in my ears, and I could just feel that I was red and flushed, and oh, it was torture. It was torture. Because that was one of my biggest fears, was being seen, being up in front of people, talking in front of people. So back to Nakaima, right? That first day, that first exercise, nobody had to even ask me any questions. Is all I had to do was stand up there and see everybody's eyes looking at me, and I just broke down in tears, sobbing. Now, for people who are really outgoing, and when I drank, I was very outgoing. I could yap to anybody. Not always pleasant. But once I got sober, I realized that I was actually a very different person than who I was when I drank. And so I just cried and cried and cried, and and everybody just held space for me. I didn't even understand why this was so terrifying for me at the time. And so, teachers are guiding me just to breathe through it, right? Just breathe. No judging, just be with it. And to just receive without needing to know anything. Just receive the experience that was. And as they guided me through not judging, not labeling, not choosing right or wrong, right? Not needing anything to be different, everything opened up. And my fear and that pain of being seen, right? I was able to detect it's a fear of being judged, and it was a fear of rejection. And I could tie it back to times when I was a teenager that I was fairly unruly as a teenager. In school, I was not a good student, and I deflected my insecurities through bad behavior, let's just put it that way, so that I got very accustomed to being the focus of attention that was judged, and I would get in trouble, right? So I was judged, and I would be, in a sense, rejected. And I felt there was something wrong with me because I was hiding all of these deep insecurities inside of me and fighting against them and trying to prove that I really wasn't, a scared little girl inside. And so I was like, some tiny little tough, teenagers. I look back now, I can laugh about it, right? But I couldn't at the time. So so standing up there, I got that like these waves of healing, because I simply let go and was open to receive this flow of awareness and energy that moved through and cleared, right? Cleared, not everything, but cleared this, like these very tightly held, protected, tender parts of me. And I let them go during that first exercise. And then I was able to just stand there and receive everybody looking at me and seeing me. And at the time, I wasn't really able to connect the dots that they were looking at me and seeing me through like eyes of compassion and love, and many of them understanding, right? Because we are all much more similar than we are different. And I felt held. And so that year, and a half or so, was this constant unraveling and unfolding of my own divisions within myself, of where I rejected me. And the practice of just receiving what's there. Just receiving what's been, perhaps. What's happened in our lives, without attaching the stories and the judgments and even the fears to it. And simply allowing it to rest in an open, known space. That set up, all of that set up a foundation for all the work that I, that I do when I work one-on-one with clients. But it's that magical portal of receptivity that when we open up to that, there are many expressions that it has, right? We can open up just personally, like I was just sharing and talking about. We can open up in the larger field, right? Like, I just don't like my job. Can I just not fight it and just not need it to be different for 1 minute? And just allow it to be. And the minute we come into not choosing for or against, it all neutralizes into spaciousness. And if we can rest in that long enough, and if we can make a practice in resting in that neutrality, we then have the opportunities to see whatever we need to see more clearly and make changes that need to be made. But we can see we have more options and potentials. The very nature of receptivity that opens up into a deeper spaciousness is that, imagine, right, when you open up, you've opened up that whole sky within you and around you. And there's a myriad of stars. Each star is a different potential of reality. Each star is a different option. But we have to expand our aperture. And that's going to come from that neutrality. It's going to come from softening our heart and our body. Receptivity allows our body to not feel so taxed and stressed and rigid and tight all the time. That in itself becomes a physical suffering that then increases the contractions of our energetic field. So receptivity as well is now becoming this exercise in accessing union with life, with source. And it's the practicing on these smaller micro levels and then allowing those micro levels to begin to harmonize and integrate all of our experiences in life. So when we begin feeling that we're in division, right, we're fighting against what is, the next level of receptivity that I personally have been working with, and I'm going to pass this on to you, is everything is in perfection. Everything is taking place in perfection at this moment. And as soon as I can receive the perfection of even the things that don't feel like they fit in my puzzle piece or my puzzle picture, I start to find like, oh, things can be moved. But guess what? I don't have to do it. We don't have to do it. When we open up into these next levels of spaciousness and perfection of all that is, we start tapping into divine source wisdom. There is a much greater plan for us. There is a much wiser plan for us. Can we open and allow ourselves to be as open as we can, more and more consistently, right? We can call this the space of divine love. We can call this the space of divine neutrality. And allow all of those potentials that we can't even see yet. We don't even know yet. Or maybe we see just a sparkle, but we don't even know what it is, but it's talking to us. And allow a co-creation from our openness, a song that is sung from our heart to the universe to come and dance into our world here now, into our reality. And can we be patient enough and trusting in that there is this amazing force and source of love that is guiding us? The more we receive it, right? The more we just be quiet and receive that presence that whispers through the leaves, right? That moves through our breath, that softens our body. When we start to trust in that, we're hitting a whole new plateau of this journey. And we are beginning to taste divine union. All right. So, I'm just going to leave you here. There's nothing right or wrong. Just feel that for this moment. Let go of needing anything to be different. No need to choose for or against. In this moment, just in this moment. And just come into this presence. Breathe into it. Rest into you. Receive you. In all of your beauty, all of your shadow, all of your wisdom, all of your forgetfulness. It's all right here. And it's always shifting and morphing and balancing and evolving. All right. Many blessings. And if you are interested in learning more or working with me, you can contact me at the link below. All right. Much love.